For today's video, I'm just going to read later in the chapter that I read yesterday. Yesterday I read Matthew chapter 24 and verse 22 in particular is prophecy from Jesus Christ that in the end the days are going to be shortened. And I think that we're already there, that the days are short. So if you keep reading at verse 36, that's what I'm going to be talking about today, and I think it's really interesting. Jesus says, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only." And I just think it's really cool that Jesus told us that not even the angels know when the last day is. And that's really interesting to me, that it's like the angels are patiently waiting and watching down on us, and it could be any moment. They don't even know. And it's also a way that you can catch people that don't read their Bible if they're trying to claim that they know when the world is going to end. Nobody knows. Not even the angels. But yeah, the whole idea of angels even existing at all is really cool. And that's why I hear the biblically accurate Larry the Cucumber. To me, that stuff just shows you how mighty, powerful, creative in ways that we can't even think, that God created these different classes of beings. When you read Revelation, that would maybe be worth studying, just the book of Revelation and descriptions of, is it the book of Isaiah? Does Isaiah also mention certain biblical creatures? I mean, I don't want to, maybe creature is such a vague word in the Bible, it probably is okay. I don't want to like try to downplay them, but what do you even call it when the Bible's talking about wheels within wheels with eyes upon them? And then when God is surrounded by, it talks about these different animal faces, and I don't know, this stuff is just so mind-blowing to me. And to really understand that angels are a real thing, God made this class of beings, these angelic beings, and then the whole Nephilim, the fact that some of them fell and there's this angelic war going on. That's crazy that all of this is going on behind the scenes. And that's really what's happening when we all live our mundane little human existence. So I'm just going to read a few more verses. So verse 37, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the goodman of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh." And that's just, well, you got to stay ready. It could be any day. It really could be any day. No day is more possible than the next. Today is just as likely as the next day. And it's going to come. I think that just shows you to not really get wrapped up in anything too much, and to keep your mind on the end goal. And with this, I'm going to read. Sometimes I really like these things. You know, when you just like type in a Bible question and there's the gotquestions.org. Sometimes I think their answers are pretty good. Because I was just thinking, you know, where in the Bible does it tell us what the days of Noah were really like? And can we be certain that what's going on today is what was going on in Noah's time? And I think it's an interesting exercise, because I believe that. Absolutely. I think it's interesting to play that backwards. Well, if today is again like the time of Noah, well, that means that back then is like today. So when the Bible talks about all the wickedness on earth that was going on back then, I relate it to stuff that's going on today, like just Sodom and Gomorrah, where like entire cities where angelic beings come down and the first thing they want to do is rape them. So Uh, it's like the society was today's, but even more far gone. But I even think of it like tech-wise. Tech could have very much been a thing in Noah's time, because by then the angels had come down and corrupted mankind and taught them all sorts of hidden angelic knowledge. So maybe Noah didn't understand technology, but it probably existed at the time. Anyways, I'm just reading. We're just going to look at Larry the Cucumber today, but I'm going to read from, this is just the website, Got Questions. I'm going to read quickly through what they say was going on in Noah's time. I think it's pretty spot on. The biblical account of Noah begins in Genesis 6. Approximately 1,600 years had passed since the creation of Adam and Eve in Genesis 1, 26, 27. As the earth's population exploded in number, it also exploded with evil. Long forgotten was the righteous sacrifice of Abel, Genesis 4:4. As the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. That's a pretty heavy, and I think just shows you how extreme it had got at that point. And yeah, my mind connects this with the fallen angel thing, and how fallen angel society is same thing with what they try to do today. It's the answer, like, why do all the music videos have to have all this satanic imagery and the bathtubs? What's up with that? Well, yeah, I think that this is nothing new. The same type of stuff was going on back then, just blatantly satanic. The fallen angels were on the scene at that point and were blatantly blaspheming God, I believe. And it was so bad that there was only one righteous family left on earth at that point. It reminds me of if God didn't shorten the days, if the days weren't shortened, no flesh would be saved. Like, literally everybody is going to be wiped out if evil runs its course. Verses 11 and 12, so this is still in Genesis 6. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. However, Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. When Jesus described the events that will surround his second coming, he said, just as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be in the days of the Son of Man. They were eating, so I already said those ones, so I'm going to skip past that. Jesus was pointing out, although the people of Noah's days were totally depraved, they were not the least bit concerned about it. They were carrying on the events of their lives without a single thought of the judgment of God. Noah is described as a preacher of righteousness, meaning he had spent years warning his friends and neighbors what the holy God was about to do. No one listened. The depravity and ungodly lifestyles of the entire world at that time were enough to cause the Lord to regret that he had made man. Genesis 6:6. Many scholars believe that part of the need to destroy every human being except Noah and his family was the sin mentioned in Genesis 6, verses 1 through 4. I mean, that's very close. It's the verses right before, so that makes a lot of sense. When the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Yeah, I think that there's pretty good evidence that the tales of old, like Hercules and stuff like that, the men of might and things like that, were probably the children of the Nephilim going wild. And the whole, like, Olympic stuff, the whole Greek gods and goddesses thing, they're probably based off of Nephilim people that were hanging out. Like, it's probably more real to life than the myths would have you believe, and they probably are based off of Nephilim. That's just a guess that I have. It's interesting that God allowed Noah nearly 100 years to complete the building of the ark. Through all that time, God patiently waited. So that's an interesting thing and something to keep in mind. Yeah, a lot of us were woken up in 2017. A lot of us were already exhausted by 2019, wanting Jesus to come. Here we are, 2024, and, stay patient, and having a sense of urgency every day is not a bad thing about the most important thing, whether or not, waiting on Jesus coming back. Hopefully you do feel confident in being saved, but if not, there's time to repent and start following Jesus. And I think it's a rational thing to try to be thinking about. The hard thing is to not think about it. Like, I don't think it's a traumatic, oh, I'm anxious. It's like, it's traumatic that I don't think about it enough. And it brings me peace to think about it, to know that this freak show is almost over, but to not the point being, try to not get discouraged, because I've felt exhausted and out of steam for years now. But take it a day at a time. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. And it's supernatural that we can even persist through all of this. Like, it's insane. So the fact that we're still here is just evidence that God has our back, and he wouldn't have woken us up when he did if he didn't know that we could make it to the end. Persist. Oh, but yeah, that's the thing about Noah was preaching for a whole 100 years, so who knows? If I have to make YouTube videos until my short life is over, okay, I can deal with that. I don't want to be here until I die of old age, but that's a possibility. I really don't think it's going to be that, though. I really do feel like we will see Jesus come back in many of our lifetimes. That's what I believe. But if that's not the case, that doesn't discourage me. That's just, it's not me to choose. I don't get to choose. It's not my choice. And God is gonna, Jesus will come back when the very last sheep is saved. And so that's the important thing. That's just, I know that if it's not here yet, that's because not all the sheep are saved yet. So it's not time. Continuing on, there's only a few more paragraphs. Jesus said that the world would be much the same before he returns to set up his earthly kingdom. Matthew chapter 25, verses 31 to 33. He warned us to be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. I just wanted to read this part. This is the very end. It's from 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 4. It gives us a clear picture of the state of the world before Jesus comes, and most likely also describes the world in the days of Noah. That verse says, "But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God." It is becoming increasingly obvious that to understand what the world was like in the days of Noah, we only need to watch the evening news. Okay, so that's gotquestions.org. Sometimes I think, VeggieTales level Christianity still has really good messages and a lot of truths. So there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I mean, the point of me looking up that is because I know that the Bible doesn't have a ton to tell us specifics about the days of Noah. But Noah was one family that's a huge bottleneck. And Noah could have been, Noah obviously seemed like a bit of an outcast. So I don't think he's going to spend time to write down the minutia of the technological advancements of the people at the time and stuff like that. And who knows if he did, if it would be scrubbed. And I think there are some books not included in the KJV. Are there Apocrypha that talk about the days of Noah? If you know any, I guess you can talk about them in the comments. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. God bless everyone.